Hello, esteemed viewers. Today, we're diving into a story that may lead many to rethink their perceptions of the Promised Land. We'll be sharing the experience of a person who, influenced by the common belief in an idyllic life abroad, ventured to Canada, a nation often seen as a beacon of stability, prosperity, and comfort. However, after spending 2 long years there, he returned to Russia, leaving behind all the benefits that so many crave. High salaries, pristine streets, advanced infrastructure, none of it could hold him. What happened? What compelled him to flee what seemed like the perfect country without even looking back? If you're interested in real-life stories about living in other countries, if you want to learn about the hidden pitfalls behind the glossy images of travel brochures, if you're eager to hear the truth about what life is really like for people in different corners of the world, then be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We regularly publish similar stories and reviews that will help you form your own objective opinion about various countries and cultures. And now, let's discover together what so amazed, disappointed, and repelled our friend in faraway Canada. Canadian leisureliness, a national trait, or a systemic flaw? Many of us are accustomed to believing that in developed countries, all processes are refined to perfection and operate like clockwork. We imagine a precise schedule, prompt service, and instant resolution of any issues. However, our friend faced a bitter disappointment. He was deeply shocked by how slowly and inefficiently even the simplest and most routine matters are handled. In stores, cashiers work as if they have all the time in the world. In restaurants, waiters might simply forget you exist, ignoring your table for hours. And at service centers, you have to wait for ages before someone deigns to pay attention to you and try to assist you. I developed a clear and persistent feeling that people deliberately drag out time, he shares with frustration. Working quickly, efficiently, and effectively is somehow not the norm here. It seems to be deeply ingrained in their culture and mentality. And if you, on your own initiative, try to work faster and do more than is expected, your colleagues start looking at you with undisguised suspicion, disapproval, and even condemnation. It's as if they're afraid you're setting them up and forcing them to work harder. This relaxed, unhurried, and slow pace permeates almost all aspects of life. Need to replace some important documents? Be prepared to stock up on patience and wait your turn for at least a couple of months. Did your faucet break and you urgently need to call a plumber? Don't be surprised if the plumber can only come to you in 3 weeks or even later. Do you want to open a bank account? Make an appointment in advance and be prepared to spend several hours at the bank because the employee will process all the necessary papers as slowly, leisurely, and meticulously as if the fate of the entire world depends on it. Sky-high prices and dubious quality. Is it worth it? Canada is a country with very high prices that, to put it mildly, are exorbitant. Almost all goods and services, from renting accommodation to the most ordinary food products, cost noticeably and sometimes significantly more than in Russia. At the same time, what is most offensive and disappointing is that the quality does not always match the price. Very often, you have to overpay for goods and services that are not worth the money they ask for. I naively believed that by paying such huge amounts for food, I would be buying the highest quality goods, environmentally friendly and healthy. But to my great surprise, in supermarkets, I saw all the same things as we have, only at prices that are several times higher. Our friend sadly recounts. For example, a liter of ordinary cow's milk costs about 190 rubles, and for a kilogram of more or less decent sausage, you have to pay more than 1,500 rubles. It's simply daylight robbery. Renting accommodation is a separate, very painful, and perhaps the most acute issue for most residents of Canada. Even for the most modest apartment, located on the outskirts of a large city, in a disadvantaged area, you will have to give a large, and sometimes the lion's share of your salary. At the same time, the demand for housing is very high, and finding something decent, comfortable, and affordable is almost impossible. Many Canadians, especially young people and newcomers, are forced to live with roommates, share an apartment with several people, or rent separate rooms because affording separate housing is simply unrealistic. This becomes an unbearable financial burden for many residents of this seemingly prosperous country. The myth of free healthcare. Waiting is akin to death. The Canadian healthcare system, which on paper looks like a model of social justice, is formally considered free. However, in practice, you have to pay for all medical services, and pay not only with money, but also with your time, nerves, and health. Making an appointment with a specialist is theoretically possible, but be prepared to wait your turn for several long months. Even if you urgently need medical help, no one will rush. The process of obtaining the necessary consultation, diagnosis, or treatment can be extended for an indefinitely long time. I suddenly had a toothache, and it was very severe. Our friend recalls, I contacted my insurance company, and they told me that they could only see me in 3 months. And if I want to see a doctor immediately, then a paid appointment will cost me at least 30,000 rubles. It's simply mockery. It turns out that free medicine exists only on paper, and in reality, you have to either wait for months or pay huge amounts of money. It is also worth noting that calling an ambulance is also not free. If your call is not recognized as an emergency, then you will have to pay for it out of your own pocket. The amount can be quite substantial. So many Canadians prefer to get to the hospital on their own, even if they feel very bad and need urgent medical help. This creates additional and completely unjustified difficulties for those who really need immediate medical attention. In conclusion, I want to say that Canada is certainly an attractive country with a high standard of living, a developed economy, and beautiful nature. However, not everyone manages to live there comfortably, happily, and carefree. Expensive living, harsh climate, unusual customs, a peculiar mentality, and a slow service system, all this creates significant difficulties for adaptation and can become a serious obstacle to a happy life. I sincerely and for a long time tried to get used to life in Canada, to find something good in it, and to love this country. But in the end, I realized that it's just not for me. A friend sadly admits, Canada is certainly a good and interesting place for tourists, but it is completely unsuitable for permanent residents. I don't want to just exist. I want to live a full life, enjoy every day, feel comfortable, free, and confident in my country.